Hello viewers, today we're going to measure the bottom end of the engine. We're going to use some measuring tools to see what is the wear on the bores itself, on the cylinders. We're going to measure the pistons, we're going to measure the crankshaft, we're going to see what is the wear on everything, and by that we're going to decide what we're going to do with the engine itself. Are we going to rebore the cylinders? Are we going to use different main bearings and big end bearings for the rods? And yeah, we're going to see how the cylinder looks like. Is there any tapper or any out of round? So this is really critical when rebuilding an engine. So we're going to measure everything. I'm going to show you what methods we are using, and probably most of shops are using. And by that we're going to determine what is the health of the bottom end of the engine itself. So this is the tools that we're going to use today. This is the bore dial gauge indicator, which we're going to measure the wear of the cylinders. Some micrometers, which we're going to use for calibrating the bore dial gauge and checking the crankshaft journals. We're going to use some plastic gauge to measure what is the radial play on the main and the big end bearings. So we're going to use all of this to determine what is the health of the cylinder block, pistons, the crankshaft, the bearings. By that we're going to determine what we're going to use. Are we going to reuse something? So let's start by calibrating the bore gauge indicator with the micrometer and see the wear of the cylinders. Okay, so we're going to need a lot of measuring specifications, which I have, and I'm going to show you more detailed in the video. I'm going to use this specification information to measure everything about this engine, because I told you we're going to start with the cylinder measurement. I'm going to use this graph. So what we're going to do, we're going to measure 3 times each cylinder. By 3 times I mean we're going to measure it from the top, from the middle, and from the bottom side. And we're going to measure it on 2 points, on the thrust side and on the non-thrust side. So this is the thrust side, which we're going to write every result, and on the non-thrust side we're going to write every result on this side. So once again we're going to do 3 measurements on every cylinder, so to see are we have any tapper in the cylinder or out of round, because the specification is really little, 0.01 millimeters, which is nothing actually. 100 from the millimeter. Yeah, we're going to try to see are we have something like that in this engine, because if we have, we're probably going to need to rebore the cylinders. But let's first calibrate the bore dial gauge and start measuring all the cylinders. Okay, for calibrating the bore dial gauge, we're going to need to see what is the exact bore hole diameter, which is when the engine is brand new. So yeah, we're going to use this number, 84 millimeters plus 100 of the millimeter. So by that we're going to use this micrometer, which is from 75 to, are you guys seeing, from 75 to 100 millimeters. So I'm going to set up this micrometer to exactly 84 millimeters, and after that we're going to calibrate the bore dial gauge indicator. So okay, right now this is 85, so I'm going to need to back up 1 millimeter, and this is exactly 84 millimeters. I'm going to walk up the micrometer. So this is how it should look. Not sure the camera is going to catch these little numbers, but I need to say from now we are going to use only metric system, millimeters. We are not going to use inches. If some of you guys want, you can use a calculator and see what inches I'm talking about, but we're going to use only metric system today, as usual. Between guys, I forget to say that it's good idea to calibrate the micrometer before start working with it. By that I mean you're going to need to use something like that, which is showing in this case 25 millimeters, and by that you're just going to rotate it until it stops. Just going to show you right now. You can clearly see we are at 0 and this is snug, so for sure this is calibrated. And yeah, every time you're using a micrometer, it's a good idea to calibrate it by using this type of measuring tools which comes with the micrometer itself. In our case, on the bigger one, we have this. And for the dial gauge indicator, we're going to use this 80 millimeter piece plus 1 millimeter, which I'm going to put here, plus 3 millimeters. So in total we're going to have 84 millimeters. So we're going to put like that. After that we're going to use this locking nut, and right now this should be set up for 84 millimeters. But still we are not ready. We're going to use this micrometer and we're going to use it. It's going to be really hard to film this on video, but the principle is this. So we're going to install it like that. I'm using this walking tool which has rubber on it because I don't want to interrupt the measurement. Don't go crazy when tightening these micrometers because everything can misalign the reading. So you need to be really gentle with these tools. So the idea is this. I'm first going to show from below what I'm doing. So the idea is like that. So right now I'm searching for the 0 mark. Let me show you what I'm doing. So we are exactly at 0. So right now our bore gauge indicator, dial gauge indicator is calibrated, and now we can start measuring our bore diameter in the cylinders. Oops, just a second. When I straighten up the dial gauge, we are getting to 0. Okay guys, right now the bore gauge is calibrated, and now we're going to start measuring the cylinders, and we're going to see are we have any wear in them. Okay guys, as I told you, we're going to make measurement on every cylinder, on the top, on the middle, and on the bottom side of the cylinders. We're going to measure the thrust side and the non-thrust side. So just for showing purposes, I'm going to show you what we're going to do. We're going to make one measurement like that and one measurement like that. So as you can see guys, it's going to be really hard to record every measurement. The idea is this: if the bore is okay, the cylinder is okay, we should be close to 0 as possible. If we're not, we have some wear. Right now, on this is the cylinder number 4, and I'm measuring the thrust side. And as we can see, we have 500 of the millimeter, I think it's called, I'm not sure, but we have around 5 or 4, maybe 4 hundredths of the millimeter. And if I go like that, let me rotate you with me guys, just for showing purposes. You're going to be able to see like that, I believe, like that. Now I'm going to measure the non-thrust side, and we can clearly see the difference. On the non-thrust side we have how much? Around 2 hundredths of the millimeter wear, which means yeah, we have some out of round here on cylinder number 4. But now we're going to need to measure from the middle to see are we have some taper, and once again we are around 300ths of the millimeter wear, or two, around 2.5. And if we go to the most bottom part of the cylinder, let's see how it gets. Yeah, once again around 2.5. Yeah, I believe the non-torch side has no topper, but if we go once again on the non-torch side, let's see what we're going to see. Yeah, that glare is not going to cooperate very good. Once again, the non-torch side, is it focused? I believe it's focused. So once again, the non-torch side, around 500ths. But if we go to the bottom, 400ths, 300ths. So this cylinder has out of round and topper on it. So for sure cylinder number 4 should be rebored. So I'm going to measure all the 6 cylinders. I'm going to measure, as I told you, from the top side, from the middle side and from the bottom side. In total I'm going to make on every cylinder 6 measurements, and I'm going to write up the specification, and we're going to see what is the wear on every individual cylinder. So this is all the measurements which I took from the cylinder book. So this is the thrust side and this is the non-thrust side, and we can clearly see how much is the wear, how much bigger is the wear on the thrust side on each cylinder. So the biggest wear is on number 4 and number 5 and 6 actually, which we have 500ths of millimeters of wear. But okay, we can still be in spec, because I'm going to show you after a second what I'm meaning by that. But I just want to show you all the measurements which I took, and on the other paper, this is once again the measurement on every cylinder, on the top side, on the middle, on the top, on the middle, and on the bottom. So I a little bit make a little bit mistake when I was typing this stuff, but this is the measurements for out of round. So the biggest difference is on cylinder number 2, which is 400ths of the millimeter, and on cylinder number, yeah, I believe on cylinder number 2 is the worst. But yeah, on cylinder number 6 we have 0.03 millimeters. If we go on the topper on each cylinder, once again I write them up, a little bit of wind here, I time them up from below. So the topper on every cylinder is, where is the biggest, on cylinder number 5, 0.02 on the thrust side, 0.02 on the thrust side on cylinder number 4, and yeah, these two are the worst, cylinder number 4 and 5. And when we get this information, we must see the specification, what is BMW saying. So permitted out of round cylinder bore 0.005 millimeters, which we are far away from there on most of the cylinders. Permitted topper on cylinder bore 0.010. Once again, on few cylinders we are out of this specification, which, guys, we're going to probably send the cylinder block for a rebore, because we don't want to have this out of round and this topper on the cylinders. But let's see how much is the difference between how much is the wear between the pistons and the cylinder bore itself. So as we can see, the permissible total wear tolerance between piston and cylinder engine operated, this means not brand new engine, but engine that was operating, and like most of the M54s, they are not brand new engines, so every time it's engine operated, and it is 0.15 millimeters, which is a lot actually. And now we're going to measure the pistons, and we're going to see how much is the clearance between the piston skirt, and the cylinder bore itself. But from the data that we have already here, I'm pretty sure that we're going to send the cylinder bore for a reboring, because I don't want to have this out of round on these cylinders and the topper on some of them. So for sure this cylinder box is going for reboring. But now let's check just for sake of showing, let's see what is the diameter of the pistons, and see what is the clearance between them, between the bore and the piston itself. Between some information for you guys, for M50B20 and M50B25, the wear tolerance between the piston and the bore itself on B25 is 0.12 millimeters, and on B20 is 0.15 millimeters, a little bit bigger tolerance between the piston and the bore. Yeah, the pistons are with a little bit different nominal value, because this engine has cast iron block and we have aluminum one, so a little bit of difference. And here we can see on both engines, the older generation cast iron engines, once again we have 0.01 tolerance for topper and out of round. As we saw on the newer one, M54 with the aluminum cylinder block, we have a little bit less specification on which one it was, on the out of round. Okay, so the information about the pistons, this is the standard diameter which we should measure on the piston skirt, not on the crown. And this is the piston running clearance. What else? The permissible total wear, once again, is 0.15 of the 15 millimeters. And let's see, are we getting close to that? Okay guys, this is one of the pistons. I'm in the middle of cleaning the pistons, so this is one of them. There is a little bit misleading information, because if we look on the crown of the piston, let me try to find it. Okay, this is the number on the crown of the piston. We can clearly see the number is 83.955 millimeters. And as we can see from the documentation, they are claiming that it should be 995. So not sure, are they made some mistake there. We're going to use once again the micrometer. This micrometer is set from 75 to 100 millimeters. So I'm going to set up the micrometer to the diameter of the piston. So let me unlock it right now. So this is the 85 mark. So when we go to 0, right now the micrometer is set exactly to 85, so we need to back up 1 more millimeter. This is 84.5, and this is exactly 84 millimeters. But as we saw, the diameter is 83.955, which means I need to back up a little bit more. So I'm going to back it up 4 more hundredths of a millimeter, which should be somewhere around here. I'm going to walk it. Okay, so right now we should be set up to 83.960. The micrometer is set up to check the piston, and as I told you, if we go with the micrometer through the crown, there will be no drag at all, like that, because we need to measure the skirt. So if we go like that, there is just a small amount of drag, just a small amount. And as we saw right now, we are at 83.96 And as we saw on the specification, I should go a little bit lower. So if I go one more, this is going to be set up for 83.95, which is slightly smaller than the diameter of the piston. And if I go like that, I can go through the piston skirt. Maybe I will be able, but I don't want to force it because I don't want to damage this surface, which is for less friction. I think it's something like Teflon and something like that. So I don't want to force it, but it's really hard to go through here when I set up the micrometer like that. So for sure our diameter right now is somewhere between 83.96 and 83.95, which is exactly as we saw on the piston. 83.955. I know it's hard to see it on the camera, but we are exactly at that spec for sure. So I checked all the pistons, they are all in this spec, so the pistons are all fine. We're just going to change the piston rings, and yeah, we're probably going to check the piston ring gaps, because we want to check them, because this is really important when assembling engine like that. We're going to measure what is the total wear between the piston skirts and the cylinder bores, and we're going to see are we at spec. Okay, so this is going to be easy math. We're just going to take the biggest number on this thrust and non-thrust side, which we measured earlier in the video. So the biggest number is 84.05, and we're going to subtract the diameter of the piston. And we have 0.10 millimeters of total wear between the piston and the bore, which means we are exactly at spec, because the permissible wear was 0.15, which means yeah, we are at spec, but still the cylinders has a lot of out of round and tapper on them, so we're going to need to resurface them so to be at spec. Okay guys, because this video is getting too long, I'm going to make a separate video about the measuring of the crankshaft journals, the radial play of the bearings on the main bearings, on the cone rod bearings. I'm going to do a separate video about that. Stay tuned for the next video, and thank you for watching.